Professor Rosenberg may now begin his 8-minute rebuttal. Timer.
So, just as, of course, Dr. Craig is repeating himself, I guess I don't have much recourse but to repeat myself, because just as he suggests that I haven't answered one or another of his points, he similarly hasn't answered any number of mine. But that's the problem with this kind of a debate and this kind of a form. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because what I would like to be able to do is ask William Lane Craig a question and listen to his answer, and formulate a reply and listen to his answer, and then give a view and listen to his question, which is the way in which philosophical dialogue proceeds, and which enables us at least to find out where the crucial issues are between us and how we could mutually agree to adjudicate these matters. So now, I really need to know why he's so committed to the principle of sufficient reason, which underwrites a good half of the arguments from science which he advances for us. I made the point that the principle of sufficient reason is false. It's not just that it's not known to be true, it's that it's just plain out flat false and disconfirmed all over the galaxy, all over the universe, all over the multiverse, indefinitely many times in infinitesimally small units of time. And I don't understand why he insists that it's just intuitively obvious. It's just, what could be more obvious that from nothing, nothing can come, that if something exists, there had to be a prior entity of some sort which brought it about. We know that alpha particles come into existence for no reason at all every moment in this room. Why should we assume that the universe is any different? Why should we assume that purely quantum mechanical fluctuations, symmetry breaking, which we understand is the explanation for why there's matter in the universe and not antimatter, why this process, which produces the characteristic features of our universe and does so without there being a cause for it happening one way or the other, why the symmetry gets broken one way or the other, couldn't be the nature of reality as far back as we can possibly dig in cosmology. Now, let's talk about the argument from evil. I keep hearing these quotes. He's even invoking my best friend, Peter van Inwagen, asserting that nobody anymore believes that the argument from evil is a problem for theism. Well, not where I come from. Where I come from, that's the first thing that we worry about. How can you reconcile theism and evil? Now, you can reconcile God and evil if you reduce his power from omnipotence, or you reduce his benevolence to only, well, he's pretty good, or he's good most of the time, okay? But even a philosopher like Peter van Inwagen, who I think is probably the best metaphysician working in our field today, even he can't go any further than in his book, The Problem of Evil, his Gifford lectures in 2004, he can't go any further than saying that he thinks that the argument from evil is not decisive, that it doesn't absolutely and completely destroy theism. It's not, as he says, a successful argument. And the reasons that he gives, I would be embarrassed to lay before you, because they have to do with an argument called the Sorites, an argument that's been known since the time of the Greeks, and that is the sort of argument that gives philosophy a bad name among more well-grounded, less theoretical people. Professor Craig invoked the free will defense, that God gave us free will, and because he gave us free will, he gave us the power to do evil, and the evil is done by us as a result of our exercise of free will. Well, I have three things to say about this. The first is he didn't need He could have given us free will without giving us the Holocaust or the bubonic plague, okay? He could have done it with given us free will without giving us all the horrors of the history of our species. The second thing is he made some people, apparently, and gave them free will, and they caused no suffering at all, whether it's small children or the saints of the Catholic Church or whoever your favorite a person without sin may be. And the third thing is this. Let's think about the following very simple thought experiment. Suppose I give you all an arithmetic test. You all have free will. You can all choose. I give you an arithmetic test. It's 100 questions, and they're all of the form 3 plus 5 equals, or 16 divided by 2 equals, or the square of 4 equals, okay? And I offer you $1,000 for each right answer and excruciating pain for each wrong answer, right? You all have free will. How many of you are going to give me any wrong answers? None of you. You're all going to have, $10,000 at the end of a 10-question arithmetic test. You all had free will. You all chose freely, and you always gave me the right answer. Why couldn't God have arranged the universe and us so that we all have free will and temptation was never presented to us? Or when it was presented to us, we always chose rightly. Why couldn't God have arranged matters that way, given us free will, and so arranged matters that in our exercise of free will, we never chose evil? We never chose the outcome that produced suffering for anybody. That seems to me a logically coherent possibility, and it's enough to show that the problem of evil remains with us. New Testament scholarship. I have great respect for New Testament scholars and for the higher criticism and for the deep scholars of the Christian religion who study the New Testament. Some of them have told us that 75% of it was forged, and all of us tell us that it was written by people who were illiterate. And most of them recognize that the writings, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, could not have dated from any earlier than 30 or 40 or 50 years after Jesus lived. And of course, the Aramaic in which they were written was completely lost, and all the extant New Testaments are in Greek, and therefore the opportunity for misrepresentation or mistranscription or other kinds of mistakes was huge, and indeed has been documented by scholarship over the last 200 years. But most of all, why should we accept the credibility of Christian scholars writing about Christian documents? No more than we should accept the scholarship of Islamic scholars writing about Islamic documents or Scientologists writing about Scientology.